When Chris Scott first approached me in the studio room and said, I want to send a balloon to space, I said, well, heck, sounds like a good idea to me, let's do it.
We had a plan to take a weather balloon and send an object with River Street's logo to the upper atmosphere, to the edge of space.
Basically a giant balloon goes into space, have a camera on it, you put an object in front of it, it looks like it's in space.
And it was a really great idea. He showed us all these videos on YouTube that, they sent a can of Bud Light to space on this weather balloon. And, I'd never heard any kind of project like that.
I said, hey, get some facts together, figure out what it costs to do it, and see what we can do.
The idea was great, and so we ran with it.
So, a couple months went by, some research went by.
Chris was all in on this project.
We started accumulating parts, pieces, research, put a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy into it. But it came together quite nice.
High altitude weather balloon projects have become more popular. Take a weather balloon, fill it with helium, put a GoPro camera on it, and let it go so high up that you could basically see the curvature of the Earth, and you're right there on the edge of space.
Tuesday, October 31st was a very touchy day for everybody. We were all kind of on edge. We were all pretty emotional. We were kind of stressed out. We wanted to do this. We were excited to do this.
There's a lot of things that affect the distance of a high altitude weather balloon. In a project like this, there's a ton of factors that need to be precise to make sure everything goes smoothly on the day of the launch.
When we were filling up the balloon, I was honestly pretty scared that the balloon was going to pop and helium was going to go everywhere. We're all going to sound like little chipmunks.
That did not happen, but we felt it was full enough to do what we needed to do. So we tied everything back up. We felt it was pulling the payload.
I really didn't know what to think. I thought, well, this could be really awesome, but I'm excited to see what happens.
We got our drones ready. We had all the cameras rolling. Our team was out there taking pictures, and we let it go.
We had a flight path predicted in the studio before we launched, and it was predicted to be in the air for 103 minutes and land roughly in Danville, Virginia.
The plan was for the balloon to carry that object about maximum 150 miles away. For the first 10 minutes went by, 15 minutes went by, no trace of the balloon.
Naturally, I'm a person that is a ball of nerves, and when I found out that we weren't getting any reads from the GPS that we had put on it, it was really concerning.
Little did we know that it has to sense a movement to ping. Even though it's set to ping every 5 minutes, it has to have a motion for that to happen.
So in the first 20-30 minutes, it set the mood of nervousness right away.
We didn't want to fully give up, so Ben and Chris both got in the car, they drove. We said, hey, drive to where our predicted landing spot. They got pretty close to Danville, and me and Jim mainly, redid some calculations on our predictor, and it was astronomically different.
It ended up way out on the beach of Virginia. I think they said roughly 200 miles past the first predicted flight path.
We drove for a couple of hours. Deep down inside, we wasn't sure what would happen, but we were hoping that that balloon location would ping.
It said it was going to land at 3 o'clock p.m.
Believe me, around 2:53 p.m. Eastern Time, that balloon pinged. But the balloon went 350 some miles away.
Sure enough, it came down, but definitely not in the place that we expected it to come down.
It was about 200 miles east of their location. There was no way at that time they were going to be able to get there and come back. They didn't have clothes, they didn't have stuff to stay the night. Nobody was prepared for this. So I still made the decision, come back, we'll figure this out tomorrow.
The balloon gave us its first signal in South Eastern Virginia. Apparently that is where the balloon popped.
It was in a field. It was in the middle of nothing. We were like, sweet, this is awesome. We're gonna pick it up, no problems.
Out of any place that it could have landed, that was the place for it to land. The next ping got us a little bit more concerned because it kept moving, and it went from one town to the next within 5 minutes.
The balloon came down slowly but surely.
So when you zoom the map out a little bit more, you could start to see how close we were to the actual coast. And we were already in Virginia.
But every ping closer, we started getting to cities. We started getting to very populated areas and the ocean. I mean, lots and lots and lots of water, lots of inlets, lakes, ponds, rivers.
The news just kept getting worse. It kept pinging closer and closer and closer to the coast. And, you know, we were sitting there thinking, okay, well, it's destined to hit the coast. But then the pings got shorter and shorter and shorter. And we're like, okay, here we go.
We were very concerned it was going to land in the water. The ping kept going east, Eastern Virginia. It came close to Water Country, USA, one of my favorite water parks. We become very nervous. We were worried at this point it was going to land in water. That would have been terrible luck. It would land in that water park. That would have been terrible luck. It would have landed in someone's driveway. That would have concerned us. But it didn't land in any of those places.
And it was probably a 200 feet wide slice of land. And it is literally the most northern point of a naval base.
Artillery and weapons supply naval base.
A naval weapons depot.
A naval weapons base in Virginia.
Never in a million years would I have predicted that this happened. But when you talk about, when people say, you know, we threaded the needle, we really did, because there was a pond here, then there was the Atlantic Ocean here, literally 100 feet apart. And we landed that thing so precisely, and we had nothing to do with it. The wind, gravity, God, whatever you want to say, brought it down in that tree.
It was very bad luck. The odds of it landing somewhere like that, starting out, had to have been astronomical.
So we called the naval base. We're like, hey, we just sent a balloon to space and it landed in your backyard.
They kind of got frantic on what had just happened. They didn't understand what I was trying to explain of what we just landed on this base. After multiple calls back and forth, late that night they called me and said, "You're welcome to, we got it out of the trees, it's here, you're welcome to come get it tomorrow."
Got everyone's heads back together, figured we would leave out the next morning early and have a 11-hour round trip to Virginia Beach.
Not gonna lie, been overslept, so we made a little pit stop to wait.
I think we've got about, what was it? About 2.5 hours left, and then we should be at the naval base to pick up the payload. We have made it to the naval base. We are currently waiting to hear back from the officer to see if we are approved to take our payload home. It has to be reviewed by an agent first. So we will check back in momentarily and let you know what's happening. We cannot get our payload today according to the guys, so we're gonna do what we know how to do best. We're gonna get some barbecue. Let's go.
So turned around empty-handed, come back. We started getting phone calls from special agents.
Hi, this is a message for Adam Foster. Adam, my name is I'm a special agent with the Naval Criminal Investigative Service. I'm calling in regards to your balloon that landed on a military installation yesterday. Need to coordinate a little bit with you. If you could give me a call back, please.
Words like criminal, so many words were being thrown at us that we were kind of in shock at what to think. Everybody was very friendly. Everybody was very hopeful, informative. We're trying to be as transparent as possible. They're trying to be as transparent as possible. But at the same time, our bottom goal was to get the footage back.
So the agent is passing it along to other agencies because the military has a very thorough process of inspecting this object that landed on their base.
You know, I think it's a terrible thing that's happened, but honestly, what could have gone wrong has gone wrong.
Hopefully we will go back out there and retrieve our payload. The likelihood of that happening, it's probably 50-50.
We did invest a lot of time, a lot of money in this project, so not getting the footage would definitely be a bummer. But at the same time, this is probably one of the greatest stories we'll have to tell here for a while. I received this really cool letter in the mail from NCIS, which will be framed on my wall. We'll blur out the confidential stuff here, but enclosed you'll find property that is seized during an investigation conducted by the Naval Criminal Investigative Service. This property is no longer of evidentiary value and is being returned to you as requested. And this is probably the coolest letter I've ever received, which kind of proved that our investigation was closed, everything was final, everything was done, nobody was in trouble. It was just sheer bad luck that the balloon landed where it did.
You know, I'm just really grateful that we're not sitting in a prison right now and I'm doing this interview in our studio still and not, you know, behind bars.
They mailed it back to us. They mailed us the payload back. We have the goods, and they look good too.
I would like to think that I had a very deep down sense of optimism that we were going to get this back.
No one was arrested. No workers were harmed during the making of this project. All is well, and we are all healthy, and just excited to have our footage back. So we'll probably launch another balloon next month, and we'll see where that one goes. So stay tuned.
I will never, ever be a part of a weather balloon again.
Personally, I don't think I'd do it again, but we got some really cool stuff out of it.
I still would not do it again, but we did it. We had a good time, stressful time, but I'm kind of glad it's over.